I said, I would like my wife to travel everywhere I travel. Now, the reason I said this is back then, everybody in the business was getting divorced. I mean, it was so hard to have a relationship in that business.
It looks like Ryan's here with us and CG and others. CB has a question. He says, question for Mark. Do you think if you had the rights to the Johnny B. Bad gimmick and brought it to the WWF, Vince McMahon would have put the WWF championship on you as Johnny B. Bad?
Well, it's funny because like I write in my book, I was the first one to get a guaranteed contract because 3 years before this, Vince flew me to his home in Stamford and I had dinner with him. And at that time, he said, what's it going to take to come to the WWE? Or it was WWF back then. And I said, well, I got to have a guaranteed contract because I already had one waiting for me at WCW. And he says, we don't offer guaranteed contracts. We offer opportunities. I'll never forget that. And so 3 years later, now my contract is up again. And the business has changed a lot. And I think he thought we were going to be able to get something like the Johnny B. Bad character. And this is back when lawsuits started going back and forth because, there's the fake Diesel and the fake, there's all kinds of stuff going on. But anyways, so when I get there, he asked me what's it going to take to come to WWF. And I said, well, Vince, I got to have a guaranteed contract. And he looks at me, he goes, done. And he goes, what else? I go, I got to have a signing bonus. And he goes, how much? And I told him, and he said, done. And I said, and he goes, is that it? And I go, I need one more thing. And this is what blew him away. I said, I would like my wife to travel everywhere I travel. Now, the reason I said this is back then, everybody in the business was getting divorced. I mean, it was so hard to have a relationship in that business when you're away from your family that much. And so he said, well, I have never heard that one before. And he agreed to bring in my ex-wife. Now, she was just going to fly everywhere I flew. So there was a ticket for me to be a ticket for her, but no talk about her coming in as a character. So I said to him, hey, why don't you let her be my valet? And he goes, no, let's just worry about you, okay? And they flew me to New York. Well, what happened was they sent me one ticket. And I called Vince I had a cell phone. I call him up. I go, hey, Vince, there's only one ticket here to sign my contract and go over creative. And he says, what do you need another one for? I go, my wife flies everywhere I fly. He goes, to sign a contract? And I said, yes. So sure enough, he flew his butt back up there. And of course, when we walk into his office and he sees my wife, first thing he says is, I got to put her on TV. And that's how Sable was born that day. But anyways, long story short was that now they're going to talk to me about creative. They had all these drawings made up. They had all these ideas. And we walk in there and Vince goes, what do you think about Wild Man Marc Mero? And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell's a wild man? Like, and so Vince says to me, can you yell like Tarzan? Can you do it like a, And I said, Vince, I don't got a very strong voice. I don't think I can do that. So anyways, I asked him, so tell me what a wild man. I'm like, am I from a jungle? Who am I? Anyways, the character never
You're
resonated
thinking
with
leopard
me.
skin, the whole 9 yards coming
He
down.
wants you to be Tarzan.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like it didn't resonate with the audience. It was a very tough thing but like Arn said, you put trust in the creative. Like you this is the machine. They created Undertaker. They created these big stars. I'm thinking they must know something I don't know. Okay, I'll be Wild Man Marc Mero. And as we all know, it was not the ending to my career I would have hoped for. But like I said, guys, I wouldn't want to change nothing, man, because it all led to this, and it's the best.